Eritrea has accused Ethiopia of attacking its territory. Residents in the border region of Sorona, which is heavily militarized, say they heard heavy gunfire and saw the movement of Ethiopian troops and artillery. Now, this latest development comes amid years of tension between the two countries. In 1991, Eritrea gained independence from Ethiopia after a long civil war. But a two-year border conflict between the two countries saw at least 80,000 people die. Now, the conflict ended in 2000 after both countries signed what's known as the Algiers Peace Agreement. It was decided that an independent commission would investigate and rule on the location of the boundary. But in 2002, the United Nations Commission ruled that the disputed Badme area along the border belonged to Eritrea. Ethiopia has never accepted that decision. Well, that's just a bit of background on the current tension on the ground. Let's bring in Ethiopia's Information Minister, Getachew Reda. He joins us now from Frankfurt, where he's currently traveling. Thanks for taking time to talk to us. Why has your country launched attacks on Eritrea's territory?
We haven't launched an attack. We have launched a counter-offensive to reverse the attack that was launched against Ethiopia by Eritrea. And there is another misconception, I guess, with regard to the border commission's decision. Ethiopia has long since accepted that decision. It's only the regime in Asmara, which has been prevaricating on a number of pretexts, that has failed to carry out its responsibility towards
we'll talk about that in a moment. I'm afraid I have to interrupt you there. But when you say that you were retaliating after an Eritrean attack, why should we believe you, or how can we believe you if you said nothing about this attack earlier?
Well, we've said earlier, Eritreans started attacking yesterday, and our forces had to move to their positions so that we can respond effectively to their aggression. See, the Eritrean regime is often good at miscalculating when it comes to taking advantage of a situation that it believes will be to its advantage. For example, it thinks Ethiopia...
What do you mean by that? What does Eritrea have to gain by making this statement?
Well, the first thing that I think they are calculating at this point is that they can deflect attention away from the current quagmire they find themselves in because of their heavy-handed tactics against their own people. As you know, there has been condemnations by the United Nations Human Rights Commission, which has clearly described the kind of atrocities that are committed by the regime Asmara against its own people.
Right. The Eritrean government representative is not here to defend himself, but my question to you is, because you've mentioned it was a retaliation to an attack that was carried out by Eritrea. Tell me about the casualties, if there are any, on both sides. Look,
we haven't yet assessed the number of casualties, but there have been casualties on both sides, because what happened was a very serious effort on the part of the regime in Asmara to attack our forces, and of course we had to move to our positions in order to defend our and of course we had to take whatever measure was necessary to avert that attack, and we then launched a counter-offensive which neutralized the threat represented by the attacking forces.
Just briefly, do you honestly believe that the border dispute between Eritrea and Ethiopia will ever be resolved?
Well, I honestly believe that if there is sanity on the part of the regime in Asmara, if it is sincere about resolving whatever differences we have long accepted the border commission's decision. It's not just about a piece of land. It's just about resolving our differences in such a way that the regime in Asmara, which has always shown a very precocious talent in destabilizing the entire region, comes to its senses and mends its fence with its neighbors. Right. So the whole issue boils down to whether this regime is ready to behave normally. I mean, why would people ask for a price in order to behave normally? Because behaving normally is something you should and could do without any extra effort whatsoever.
We have to leave it there. I know this is a topic that we can discuss for forever, but thank you for taking time to talk to us. That's Information Minister from Ethiopia. That's Getachew Reda. Thanks for taking time to talk to us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, we've tried without success to have a response from the Eritrean government today, or to get them on this program. The only comment so far is a statement published on Sunday saying that the Ethiopian regime unleashed an attack against Eritrea on the Sorona Central Front. They say the purpose and ramifications of this attack are not clear. Well, with me now is BBC Africa's Damian Zane. Both sides accusing each other of attacks. How do we even start or begin to make sense of this situation?
Well, if we're looking at this particular case, we can't make sense of it in the sense we'll never really know exactly what happened. We can't verify what happened. If we pull back a bit, I mean, what it illustrates is that these two governments, which in fact were once allies in the fight against the previous Ethiopian regime of Mengistu Haile Mariam, are as far apart as they've ever been. There are still tensions over this border since that have been going back since 1998. And, you know, that's quite a worrying and disturbing thing. But I suppose since the end of the war, since the 2000 peace agreement, you know, we've always been worried that these tensions might spill over, and they haven't. They've just been minor and very rare occurrences.
But this border that we keep talking about, why is it such a sticking point, and why is it so significant?
I think when Eritrea gained independence 25 years ago, you know, that's when the border needs to be defined, because we're talking about sovereign territory. A new country, an independent country, wants to know exactly where its sovereign territory is. And it's argued that this place, amongst many other things, one of these places called Badme was in Eritrea. Ethiopia said no, it's in Ethiopia. There was tension in 1998 that spilled over into a war. 80,000 people died. And then this boundary commission said, actually, no, Badme's in Eritrea, but it's still controlled by Ethiopia. And Ethiopia at that time would think, well, if you've awarded it to Eritrea, that means that we were wrong. We might be responsible for the deaths of all these people. Ethiopia now says, no, we'll talk about this. We accept the decision. We'll talk about this. Eritrea says, there's nothing to talk about. Just get on with it, Ethiopia.
Damian Zane, thank you for that update. Thank you.